I just wanted to take a little bit of time to explain my situation out here, what I'm doing here. I used to work at this little Greek restaurant in Salt Lake City, Utah before I came here. I would get on the bus every day during the winter, ride down to the restaurant, clock in, and get to work, and I would bust my ass every day. Flipping the same eggs, grilling the same burgers and steaks, you know, and then I'd punch that time clock. I'd walk out the door, get on the same bus to go home, and it was just the same thing every single day. And just wash and repeat. It really never changed. That's all I could see looking forward, was just that same routine continuing on. I needed to experience something else before I got too old to the point where coming out and doing something like this was going to be difficult for me to do again. 2 years went by taking vacations out here, coming out here slowly building some infrastructure, rain collection, a 310-gallon cistern, bringing supplies out here, basically prepping and getting ready to come out here and do what I'm doing right now. My other buddies who I went into the property with, they are still at home right now, kind of doing the grind, looking at me, wishing they were out here with me. And I wish they were out here with me as well. But somebody had to jump off first. I kind of always knew it was going to be me. You know, that's kind of how I ended up here, and you know why I have the supplies that I have. I plan to be out here a couple more months. Be out here in a couple more months. It's the countdown. The countdown has begun. We've been prepping. We've been getting ready. Things are happening. Change is coming this year. Much needed change is coming this year. Let's see where this path takes us, literally and figuratively. You know, the way I see it is I'm not getting any younger, and I got to get this out of my system so that when I do get too old to be able to do something like this, I'm not looking back with regret that I didn't. So I gotta try it, you know? You gotta follow what your heart wants. And right now, my heart wants to be out here and figure out some things, figure out what I'm doing, figure out where I'm going, what I wanna do, and find where my happiness is out here in the woods. Damn hippies. Thanks for not destroying the cistern. You know, I've had some comments where people say, get a job. And it's funny because I don't think they actually realize the amount of work that goes into what I'm doing out here. And to actually be successful doing it. It's one thing if I had a car and I was driving to town, you know, and I was going back and forth into town and stuff. But when you're out here and you only have what you brought in, you kind of weren't planning to be here for the winter. That was by chance that I ended up coming back because my dog was shot and killed when I went into town. And so that drove me back here kind of in a hurry. I kind of just said, everybody, I'm gonna go back where I feel safe. So I ended up back here right before winter hit. And I didn't have a lot of time to prep wood. You know, I had just enough time to set up my camp, just enough time to put the tent up before the rains hit, and just a little bit of time to pull in some dead logs and stuff, and I used those up pretty quick. So now I'm down to cutting dead trees down and processing those. People don't realize that I'm out here working. It was actually easier to be in Salt Lake City, go to work and punch a time clock, come home. That shit was easy compared to what I'm out here doing right now. This is work. This is full-time work with no days off. You know, and yeah, I get to pick my schedule. I get to, you know, if I wake up one day and I don't really want to do anything, that's fine. I can do that. I'm only hurting myself the next day with double the work. Doing it the way that I'm doing it is hard. And I'm doing it like that on purpose. I chose to do it like this. I chose to use hand saws and not come out here with a chainsaw and a bunch of gasoline. It actually is a good way to teach you to be busy. You know, this is definitely not a lazy man's adventure. If you're a lazy person, you're not going to last more than a month out here, and I can testify to that. Sorry, not sorry, but it's true. Lazy people can't hack it out here doing this kind of stuff. And that's why we've evolved into the cultures and societies that we have, is because a lot of people, they just want the easiest shit. They just want the easiest thing for them. Easy come, easy go. That's why nobody ever really appreciates what they have and the things that they get, because it's just easy come, easy go. When you actually take the time to like build something and construct it yourself from scratch, you appreciate what that does for you. You appreciate the process that it took to get it there. It's not easy come, not easy go. And it was acquired through blood and sweat. And when you do stuff like that, you really start to mature on a level that it's hard to acquire, at least for me otherwise. There's always something to do out here. I spend a good majority of my time cutting and processing wood to keep warm, which is, I mean, it's my own fault. You know, if I was going to come out here and stay in the wilderness, then I should have been prepped for that. But I mean, things happened the way that they happened, and I really couldn't help that. And most of it was out of my control. The only control that I had was how I reacted to a situation that was a really bad situation. And my reaction was to come back here. And that was the wisest decision that I could have ever made. I know that. So yeah, people can sit at home and watch me through their little YouTubes, pass judgments and make comments and tell me how I'm not doing it right. Fear is your only obstacle. When you really think about fear, it's the only thing that stops us really from doing the things that we want to do. You're fearful of this or you're fearful of that, and it prevents us from actually accomplishing what we want to accomplish, because we end up making decisions based out of fear. But the only thing that really holds you back once you conquer your fears is looking at you in the mirror. So when you really understand that, like, you have the power and the capability to do what it is that you want to do by just getting up and doing it, nothing can hold you back. Hopefully I brought in enough that by the time spring comes, I can plant my garden, and by the time next winter comes, I have enough food grown that not only I can survive on it, but I can give my neighbors some of the surplus. That's kind of the goal out here, is to not just help myself, but help those around me too. Find something you're passionate about and strive towards doing that. Me personally, I just wanted to be in the woods. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing out here. And it's not the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. It's just I'm still trying to figure out what it is I'm doing out here. I'm not an expert. I didn't work for the Forest Service. I created this YouTube channel to document my experience so I can go back later on and look at my experiences and the situations that I went through and remember the lessons that it taught me. And it's more of a recording of a personal journal. I feel like I need to address some stuff. And that's kind of what this video is just to address some of the assumptions out there, just to clarify some things. I stayed out here for the summertime. I did the dugout. I did a lot of work. I was out here with two friends. They came out from Salt Lake City, one of which just kind of took off after about a month. It was just too much for him. And the other one, who stuck with me all the way until about the third month when we ran out of water, went and stayed at somebody's house that was up in the northern part of the state. And after 3 weeks or so, my dog got shot in the spine and killed in their backyard. And I've been here since. So this whole experience, that's my only regret, is actually leaving. Otherwise, I would have been here with him and I wouldn't have been alone. So in total, I spent, about 100 days during the summertime.
Hey, where did the time go? I've been walking by myself.
I prefer to be out here than around people. Don't get me wrong, I think people are great. Some people's energies are just such low vibrational energies that they're just like succubus vampires. They'll just suck the life force right out of you just by being around them. And that is not the kind of people I want to be around at all. What better way to improve yourself than to come out into the woods by yourself and pit yourself against nature and really digging in with a fair amount of supplies and preparation, but at the same time, none of the things that make it easy. I didn't want anything out here that would make this an easy task for me. I wanted the challenge. I wanted to be pushed to my limits. And I've had a couple situations already where I've been pushed to my limits. And you know what? It's through that struggle that I've grown. It's through those situations and those experiences that I've been able to level up past where I was. And you can sit and talk about it. You can sit and read about it. You can live vicariously through somebody else doing it while you just make shitty comments on their social media or whatever. But when you actually come out and do something like this for yourself with the intention of just trying to better yourself, nothing else really matters. I mean, you guys could sit and say whatever you want. That shit just rolls off me like water droplets on a rainproof coat. It ain't nothing to me. It really just makes me smile and laugh, because I know as soon as you got the haters on board, you know you're doing something right. And hopefully I spark some kind of an idea in somebody, or I give them the idea that they can come out and do this themselves. Because I mean, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. The experience itself for me is worth everything that I've put into it so far. You know, and it's debatable whether or not people consider me actually off-grid because I have a cell phone. But if you really think about how far I am out here into the woods, I'm an hour drive to the nearest town for supplies. I'm over an hour to the nearest hospital. I got dropped off out here, so I technically don't have a vehicle or way to get to any of those things. So it would be pretty irresponsible and stupid of me to come out here into this situation without a cell phone. So yes, in that sense, I'm not off-grid. So I mean, in all reality, I'm hella off-grid. I'm about as far away from the city as you can get while being in the state still. I mean, my 10 acres right here butts right up against the Cascade Mountain Range here in Oregon. And I can just go for miles and miles and miles and miles in one direction and never touch another person's property. Never see another person. You know, and that's really the biggest difference between me and the guys that are setting up those videos about them staying out solo for 5 nights or whatever. That's great. I love those videos. I respect everybody's videography and stuff. But the big difference between what they're doing and what I'm doing is they drive out with their supplies, and anytime they get in trouble, they can drive right out. I'm stuck out here. I wanted to be stuck out here. I wanted to put myself through the trials and errors of not being able to escape when shit got tough. So when shit gets tough for me out here, the only thing that I have to do is figure it out. And from those struggles come growth. And that growth is what I was looking for. Not coming out here and LARPing, pretending to be something that I'm not. Man, all I'm doing is being myself. I know in my heart what I'm out here doing is just trying to better myself for tomorrow. And in reality, that's all I'm doing is learning from the situations and learning how to adapt to them. Where I'm collecting wood pretty much every other day. You know, I just sawed down this dead tree because for one, it was a safety hazard. It was gonna come down eventually anyways. It was completely dead, leaning over towards the trail. So I took this down, and now I'm gonna sit and process this for the next week for firewood. But the point is when I have to come out here and do this, it makes me appreciate that warmth that much more. I felt like if I came out here and I really put my heart into something that I enjoy doing, eventually it was gonna work itself into the point where it becomes my occupation. And if not, that's okay too, because it's all an experience. Even if it just comes down to I spent all that money for the experience, it's the same thing as when you buy a vacation to go to Rome or France and you spend thousands of dollars on a vacation to go somewhere. But I've been out here long enough that I have learned some stuff. I've learned some lessons about myself. I've learned lessons about the land. And that's the kind of stuff that you can't get from reading a book or watching somebody else vicariously do that through YouTube. That's something that if you truly want to experience that, that's something you got to come out and do. The only thing that I can recommend for anybody wanting to do this is save up a little bit of money, put a down payment on a plot of land, and get out and do it, because it is wonderful. It is the best growing experience that I've ever had in my life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, this entire experience has been invaluable to me. it's only getting better and better for me. You know, I've had some issues here in the last week that really put the test and put the brakes on me as far as getting comfortable. The waterproofing treatment in the canvas tent has gone bye-bye seemingly overnight. So I ended up having to cover the entire tent with plastic just to get to the point where I can actually apply some of the waterproof sealer that I have on a nice dry couple of days. It's going to take a day for me to clean it off and get it dry, and it's going to take another day for me to apply it. Something that I'm currently dealing with right now. I went from glamping one night to really roughing it the next night. Kind of woke me up to the fact that I'm still out here at the mercy of nature. There's really nothing I can do about anything other than just push through it and work through it and figure it out. I can't control nature. You know, when you can't control a situation, the only thing you really have left is how you can control the way you react to the situation. One thing I've gained is an entirely new appreciation for being able to turn the water on your tap at home, having hot water, the simplicity of warmth. You know, like, I know that's a modern day luxury. You go to work, you pay your gas bill, and you're able to turn your furnace on. But I mean, at the same time, I think we've all lost sight of that, of just how easy that actually is to be able to do that. So when you got to put a little bit of work into keeping yourself warm and being able to warm up your food and your coffee, it starts to give you a different level of appreciation how the whole thing works. And that's where I'm at right now, and that's kind of what I wanted when I came out here. Was I wanted to relearn those appreciations for the things that everybody seems to take for granted in today's culture. You know, I think Terrence McKenna had it right when he said culture is your operating system. And coming out and living like this for a short period of time will have a way to make you realize that your operating system can be wiped out and reinstalled, and you can gain completely new levels of your lenses of perception, the way you see things. I just feel like a lot of people have lost touch with themselves. Looking in the comment section of that Axe video kind of validated that for me, that there's a lot of fucking robots out there, and there's a lot of people just going with the herd, that herd mentality. And it's much easier for people to judge than it is to have an original thought. So that's why a lot of people judge. People say, how come you don't just use a chainsaw? You want to know what the best tool that I have in my arsenal is? Patience. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep plugging away. I'm going to keep cutting down dead logs. I'm going to keep sawing them up. I'm going to keep splitting them up. I'm going to keep my fire going. I'm going to stay warm. I'm going to come out of this winter off of this mountain a better person than when I arrived. That was what was important to me. Not any of these review videos, Axe, anything, like people thinking I'm only doing that shit for clout. I honestly give a shit less. I'm only doing this because the fact of talking to the camera has basically become a person for me. You spend enough time alone, you'll find yourself talking to yourself quite a bit. And I realized that the camera to me is like having another person there. So I just sit here and I have conversations and I talk to the camera as if it's a person sitting there. And then I look back on all the comments and the things that people say, and it's really just comedy for me. It makes me laugh just how people are like fucking sheep, man. And I'm not trying to generalize, I'm not trying to stereotype, I'm not saying anything about anyone personally, but there's been some really helpful comments and really informative comments of people actually taking the time to make a thought process. And then there's people that are just on autopilot, and the only thing that they can say is similar to what the guy below them just said. It's just one after another, that's just shit stacked on top of shit, really. And it's funny. It's actually become a form of amusement for me.